So I think we can start already. We reach our peak. Good morning and happy Monday, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. I am Zaina Nakchidi, future FinTech champion and the front lead for the Virtual Crypto Trading Competition 2021. Warm welcome and congratulations on getting selected. Dear participants, the main aim of this competition is to educate youngsters like you and me about crypto trading and to empower them, help them take the plunge. It is unfortunate that people don't invest in crypto out of fear or lack of knowledge. So let's learn together, make the most out of this opportunity while keeping the competition healthy. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A function on Zoom to inbox us. Being part of the FFC program has enabled us to organize a competition of this extent, and hence I'll now lay the floor to Mrs. Lisa Desoy, our Head of Skills at MAF and FFC Program Coordinator. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Desoy, and as Zaina has just said, I am the Head of Skills at the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub. And it's my great honor today to welcome you all as participants to this virtual trading event. It's great to have so many of you here this morning to be part of this event. I know we have many participants from here in Mauritius, but also many participants joining us from other parts of Africa. I know we have participants from Rwanda, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Zambia, Malawi. Welcome to you all, and it's great to have you here. So the virtual trading cryptocurrency trading event is part of the 2021 Africa FinTech Festival, which this year is being hosted by the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub in collaboration with the Africa FinTech Network. The Africa FinTech Festival is the largest FinTech-focused conference on the African continent. And this year, owing to the ongoing pandemic, it is 100% virtual. And is involving people from all over the African continent and even beyond. So it's great to have you as part of this event. This competition is acting as a workshop as part of our wider agenda and program. And everybody, all of you participating in this competition are part of the Africa FinTech Festival. So you have access to all of the items on our agenda, including our keynote speeches, our panel discussions, our fireside chats, featuring startups and leaders from the FinTech space across the African continent. So do make use of the fact that you are part of that conference. Make sure you register for your free tickets. That's a part of being in this competition, is that you do need to register for that free ticket, but that will give you access to all the sessions of the conference and gives you the opportunity to not only to listen to those different sessions, but to also explore our virtual booths, interact with other delegates from all over the African region, and really gives you the opportunity to do some networking. So do please make sure that you register before you take part in the competition. So Zaina has said she is a future FinTech champion, and this event, this competition, is being organized by MAF's Future FinTech Champions. So the Future FinTech Champion program is a skills and capacity initiative that we run here at the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub. And it's really designed to build a cohort of youth leaders for the FinTech space. So these guys have been working with MAF for the last year, have been taking part in all of our events and initiatives, and also organizing on-campus events to help teach their peers a little bit about FinTech. And this is what this competition is part of. So I'd like to congratulate them for all their hard work, and also say that we will be beginning recruitment for the next cohort of FinTech champions starting in November. So if you're interested in being part of the 2022 batch of FinTech champions, do check MAF's website and look out for the link to register your interest. So today's session is the first of 3 training sessions to help you get the most out of this cryptocurrency trading experience. With all the buzz that's been going on this year about cryptocurrencies, I imagine that there might be some of you here who have already started dabbling just a little bit, or at least are interested. But I know for the majority of you, this is going to be your first foray into this space. And so the idea behind these training sessions is really to help give you the basics of understanding cryptocurrencies as an asset class, and also to introduce some basic concepts around trading, so that we can all have a fun competition that is also safe and responsible, so that you kind of understand a little bit more about trading and about this particular space. So I hope you enjoy today's session and the follow-up training sessions that will be taking place over the next week. And I look forward to seeing you all at the main competition on Saturday, the 23rd, where we'll be deciding the winner. So without further ado, I'd like to say thank you so much to today's speaker, Suyash Sumaru, who's going to be talking to you about cryptocurrencies as an asset class. Thank you to the FFC team, and I'm going to hand back to Zaina. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lisa, for this insightful introduction. And dear participants, don't forget to register for the Africa FinTech Festival. And now let's move on to the first training session, which will be delivered by Mr. Suyash Sumaru. Mr. Suyash is the founder and director of Codigo Limited, a pioneer in providing blockchain-based software development services in Mauritius, as well as the co-founder and CTO of Horizon Africa. Blockchain expert Mr. Suyash Sumaru has over 10 years of development and managerial experience in software development. Thank you for being here, Mr. Suyash, and over to you.
Thank you, Zen, and thank you, Lisa, for the nice introduction. Just before starting, I see that there are around 168 attendees, so that's probably the highest, the biggest audience have had for the last at least few months. So thank you for everyone for being here. Thank you for your time. So just to give you a quick overview of this session, I'm going to try to keep it short, maybe half an hour, and leave the rest for questions and answers. I will go over some of the basics of blockchains and cryptocurrencies, and focus more on, let's say, some of the technical aspects of especially cryptocurrencies. So technical aspects, yes, but more maybe related to the competition that you will be participating in. So let me just share my screen. Yeah, I think everyone should be able to see my screen. So a quick introduction about some of the projects that I have worked on, all of them being blockchain based. So I can give you some more details later on if you have any specific questions about them. So let's talk about cryptocurrencies as an asset class. It all starts, of course, with blockchain. And we've heard a lot about blockchain, what it's supposed to do, what it's doing, and things like that. So one of the things that maybe we underestimate is the importance of cryptocurrencies in a blockchain. We tend to hear a lot of people talk about, blockchain, yes, cryptocurrency, no. I think that's a very big misconception about how blockchains actually work. Blockchains won't work without its native cryptocurrency. It's like that. It's not only about the cryptocurrency as an asset, but it's also especially more as security mechanism. So it's very important to understand the role of cryptocurrencies in a blockchain to be able to properly grasp how cryptocurrencies evolve, both in terms of its development and also in terms of adoption and eventually the price of it. So we'll go over a quick introduction about blockchains, cryptocurrencies, and we'll touch a bit on NFTs. Why? Because that's a new kind of asset class that comes into play, and maybe that's not relevant today in terms of trading and things like that, but this is going to be the case in the very near future. So what is blockchain? I'm sure that you have probably read a lot about blockchains, the proper, let's say you already have a proper idea of what it is. So you've heard terms about distributed ledger technology, about blocks and transactions, about peer-to-peer system. But before going to the specifics, it's important to understand that blockchains are kind of a new system, a new technology out there. It's based on existing technologies which have been around for sometimes for some decades. Some of the technologies out there which blockchains are using are not really new, but what's different is the way these technologies are used together to create a decentralized system. So when we talk about blockchains, we talk about decentralization. So this is where the distributed ledger technology, blocks, transactions, peer-to-peer system, public-private key cryptographic come into play. So what is really a blockchain? It's basically a system. It's basically a database which stores data. So when you talk about transferring, for example, cryptocurrency, let's take the case of Bitcoin. We'll use Bitcoin a lot because that's the first real use case of the blockchain technology. And it's probably the most popular one also. So when you take the example of Bitcoin, when you do a transaction, there's a lot of things that happen at the back. And these things depend on a lot of existing on the current infrastructure, and the current Bitcoin infrastructure. We have the distributed ledger technology. That's one thing. What this means is that it's quite straightforward to grasp what is distributed ledger technology. It's basically a system where you have a set of information, which we call a ledger, which is replicated in many different machines, in many different computers, or in many different participants. So let's say you want to participate in the Bitcoin blockchain. It's very simple. You download the software, you start running it, and what the software will do is it will download a copy of the whole blockchain to your own machine. What this does actually is it creates a distributed system, in the sense that if you have 1 million people using the Bitcoin blockchain, you have 1 million copies of the same information. And what this creates is a lot of redundancy. Redundancy means that even if 1, 2, 10, 100, 1,000, 100,000 computers go offline, the system is still up. So as even simpler than that, as long as there are 2 computers or 2 participants using a blockchain, for example, the Bitcoin blockchain, it is still considered up. So the redundancy is a good thing to have in this sense, because it creates a very kind of a robust system, and it's not easy to bring down such a system. It requires a lot of power, a lot of resources, and this is what makes it very, let's say, stable, very robust. On the other hand, though, it creates, let's say, a waste of resources, because you are duplicating information hundreds or thousands of times. So, but these are like compromises which need to be done in the distributed ledger technology. Next, in, let's say, the explanation for blockchain is blocks and transactions. So the name blockchain itself kind of explains what it's all about. So we have information, yes, which is stored in a blockchain, but how do we actually store this information? Basically, these information are stored in transactions, and these transactions are stored in blocks. So you have kind of a, let's say, a set of different blocks which are linked to each other. So the next block is linked to the previous one, and so on and so forth. So it just continues like this, and you will always have a chain of, let's say, blocks which will lead to the first block. So thus the name blockchain. It's basically a chain of blocks, and it's a system which has been designed like this principally because when you create a chain of something, it's very difficult and actually very costly to change information in that block, in previous blocks. And the reason it's costly to change information is because when you change information in one block, it affects all the future blocks also. So you can't just take one block and change any kind of information and then not do anything about the future blocks. It makes the future blocks become invalid. And the reason this works like that is to create an immutable system. So what's an immutable system? An immutable system is a system where the information that you store in the system cannot be changed. Okay, as simple as this. So how do you ensure that? How do you ensure an information that you store in a system cannot be changed? Because at the end of the day, when you're storing information, it's storing information on maybe on a piece of paper or on a computer system. And if you have access to that information, you can change it, be it in any kind of database. And there's no real way of ensuring that information is immutable. I'm talking in a traditional sense, but when we talk about blockchains, then this becomes possible because you can actually change information in one block, but that only affects your own version of the information. Remember that for the distributed ledger technology, it implies that information is replicated in thousands or millions of other computers as well. So if you change information on your own version of the information, it doesn't affect the other ones. So basically what you're doing is that you're creating a system where you have a version of information which does not tally with what other people have, and the other people make the majority of the whole ecosystem. So what happens is that you kind of fork out of the, let's say, of the reality of the truth of what's happening on the blockchain, and you create your own version of the truth. And this is what makes blockchains so kind of immutable. Now, the last component of a blockchain is what we call a peer-to-peer system. Basically, it means that it's a system which is not controlled by any central entity. Our current systems are like this. So you have a central entity when you talk about, when you take any example, you have your democratic system. It's controlled by a few, let's say, people, a few, let's say, what we call delegates, which represent you. But at the end of the day, the decisions are taken by a few people. And this happens also for your information, the way you live, the way you transact. And you have banks which act as central entities. If you want to send someone money, if you want to send someone any kind of currency or asset, you need to have a central entity. The role of the central entity is to actually to create a level of trust. For example, if I want to send someone money via the banking system, I need to trust the banking system then that, okay, I'm transferring 100, let's say, USD. The 100 USD is leaving my account and is going to the other people's or the recipient's account. So this is how it should usually work. And but you need to trust the bank to do this. What happens if this central entity is corrupted in one way or the other? It could be anything. What happens if the bank takes 100 USD from your account and just transfer only 50 USD, or doesn't do any transfer at all? You don't have kind of any real recourse. So trust is very important in our current systems. And this is why we have so many intermediaries. We have banks. If you want to do a transfer from one country to another, then it can go through not only one bank, but multiple banks. And all of these are intermediaries, which you need to trust. Now, this creates a very let's say, fragile system, because with trust comes power. So when you trust an entity, they have the power to abuse the trust, and this happens in various in various cases. But a blockchain system creates a trustless environment. So basically, you do not need to trust anyone. Maybe you need to trust the system, but the system is here. It's open source. It's free. It's completely open. You can go and verify how the system actually works. The same cannot be said about all the intermediaries that we are dealing with. For example, tomorrow you can't say, look, I'm doing a transfer from one of the local banks in Mauritius. I want to go to the bank and see how the current information system works. I want to go and see in the vault where my money is. You can actually do that. So you don't have any insight, any overview on how they work. Blockchains are completely different. You have a full visibility over how it actually works, and it's completely transparent. And this is very conducive to a very trustless peer-to-peer system where any participant can actually participate without any, I wouldn't say any fear, but they can always verify that the system is behaving the way it should behave. So short history, we're going quickly in a short history. So the early days, we had, of course, the first cryptocurrency was Bitcoin. And it's not that we didn't have digital currencies in the past. We even had private digital currencies. The problem was that it was considered illegal. And if it's considered illegal, it can easily be stopped. You just stop the company. So if a company is launching a currency, a digital currency, you can just close down the company, and it's the end of the currency, of the digital currency. But this cannot be said for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a very decentralized system, so you cannot easily shut it down. And so some of the most important landmarks of Bitcoin are the use of proof of work. So it's basically what we call a consensus algorithm, which is used to ensure the security of the Bitcoin network. So when you think about it, the Bitcoin network is an open system. It's an open network. So what stops hackers from actually hacking the system or breaking the system? This is where proof of work actually comes into play. It just says that it just enforces the idea that if you want to participate, there are rules that you need to follow. And the rule requires you to do some work and provide a proof that you have done the work. So basically, the proof of work is exactly that. And to prove that you have done something, you need to spend a lot of resources, and this is where mining comes into play. So then, of course, this Bitcoin network was the first blockchain, the first real blockchain. And then we had other blockchains which came into operation, which, for example, Ethereum, which was, let's say, the first programmable blockchain. Now, when we talk about cryptocurrencies, we are talking about programmable money, which means that money that can behave in ways that you can actually control. The current way money works is quite restricted. You have cash, okay, and you have digital money. And the way the money can behave is controlled by either the banks or the central banks. So when you think about it, money being such an important aspect of everyone's lives, doesn't offer any kind of control, any kind of flexibility in how it is used or how it is managed. And this is a problem because this stifles innovation. And we can clearly see that for the last decades, we have seen innovation in virtually every field that you can think of, except for banking and money. It has stayed practically the same. You have we started having digital money, which is basically just let's say database version of fiat currency. It's not really groundbreaking. This has existed for some decades now. So it stifles innovation. But with cryptocurrencies, now what happens is that you have control over your money. You have control over how it is used. You have control over how you want to store it, how you want to transfer it. Of course, there are some basic rules, but the basic rules are here just to ensure that everyone, that people don't lose their cryptocurrencies. Apart from that, it gives you a lot of possibilities to actually do things that are that were until now very difficult to do, or actually practically impossible to do with real money. So you have what we call programmable money. You can actually program your money. You can do anything you want. You can create your own applications. You can store it the way you want. If you want to store your, for example, your Bitcoin in a paper wallet, you can do so. You can store your Bitcoin on a mobile wallet, you can do so. If you want to create your own wallet, you can do that also. So it's very open. It allows you to do a lot of things. And this also allows to other activities like trading. It creates new systems which allows you maybe to do trading more easily and even more cheaply. So these are some of the most important aspects of cryptocurrencies, in the way that based on the fact that it's really programmable money. So now let's focus more on cryptocurrencies. So how they are kind of different. What do they actually mean? So what are they really, cryptocurrencies? So we have a lot of different components when we talk about cryptocurrencies. They are, of course, completely digital or virtual. I've seen scams in the past where people were actually selling Bitcoin as real coins, and people were actually buying that. That was like the very early days. And it's important to understand that Bitcoin is really 100% virtual, so you don't have it anywhere in physical form. And when you think about it, I would go even further to say that you don't actually own any Bitcoin. Even if you have Bitcoin, you don't own the Bitcoin. What you own really is the keys to that Bitcoin. So basically you own, you have access to the keys which allow you to do transfers of Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies. And this is, when I talk about Bitcoin, it applies for most of the other cryptocurrencies as well. So it's very important to understand these let's say, nuances between what you have in terms of fiat currency and digital currency, in the sense that you don't really hold the cryptocurrencies, but what you hold is keys to that cryptocurrency. And of course, if you lose access to the keys, or someone else has access to the keys, they also have the ability to do any transfer that you would be able to do. So and a second aspect of cryptocurrencies would be about issuance. So a big question which I get very often is who actually issues cryptocurrencies? Because when we talk about our fiat currencies, our national currencies, we know that that's the central bank which issues the currency. But who's in charge for cryptocurrencies? The answer is the network. So remember at the start, I was saying that there are certain rules that you need to follow in order to participate in any cryptocurrency. So these set of rules also define when and who get to issue cryptocurrencies. And the set of rules are pretty, let's say on the surface, it's pretty simple. Of course, the implementation can be the implementation and the technical details might be complex, but basically it just says that, okay, you need to follow the rules. That's number one. If you follow the rules and you do some work which help in maintaining or ensuring or increasing the security of the network, you get rewarded, because in doing so, you're actually investing, you're spending hardware, you're spending electricity, especially in Bitcoin and other what we call proof of work blockchains. So you're actually spending resources, and to reward you, we are going to issue the cryptocurrencies, and you're going to get these cryptocurrencies. So this is how actually cryptocurrencies are issued. Now, transfers of cryptocurrencies, that's another very important component and probably the most used operation when we talk about cryptocurrencies. How do you transfer cryptocurrencies? It's important to understand that holding cryptocurrencies can be in different forms. There are what we call sorry, I forgot the name, different kinds of wallets. So you have, yeah, custodial and non-custodial wallets. So basically what they mean is that custodial wallets are wallets where you actually give control to any third party to actually control your cryptocurrency. So they can do transfers on your behalf. You have non-custodial wallets or non-custodial ways of storing your cryptocurrencies, where the only one who can actually do any kind of transfer is you. So this is normally the most secure way of storing and doing cryptocurrencies. And when we talk about trading, in most of the cases of cryptocurrencies, we are talking about custodial wallets. So it's very important, and it's a very important security consideration to know that when we talk about trading cryptocurrencies, we are talking about a custodial wallet, meaning that if an exchange on where you are trading cryptocurrencies gets hacked, you are in, let's say, in danger of losing your cryptocurrency. And this has happened a lot in the past. A lot of the big cryptocurrencies have actually, a lot of the big trading platforms have actually been hacked, and a lot of people have actually lost a lot of money through these hacks. So now let's touch a bit on NFTs, and because that's an important trend that we are seeing a lot lately. And it follows in the same tokenization trend that we have been having for the last few years, with digitization of assets, digitization of money in terms of cryptocurrencies. Now, one of very specific digitization of assets is through NFTs. And what are they really? Are just representation of assets, it could be digital assets or real life physical assets in a smart contract. Now, of course, when we talk about trading of cryptocurrencies, we are focusing more on what we call the native cryptocurrencies, or maybe custom tokens that are created on blockchains like Ethereum. But in the future, we can also have trading, and actually we already have that, trading of representation of tokens which represent real, physical or digital assets. And one of the first use cases of NFTs have been art. So how do you actually tokenize art, and how do you actually sell them or transact with them? And right now there is a lot of development in the field where you can actually not only sell them, not only buy, but actually do a lot of things in terms of investment and in terms of trading for these NFTs. So I will end here and start taking some questions. I hope that you had a quick, let's say, overview of what are cryptocurrencies, what are blockchains, and the trends that might be relevant in the future, but know that this is only like an introduction, and there are so much things that can happen in that actually are happening in the cryptocurrency space. So I think that I'll just stop here and check the questions if you already have questions. Yes.
Yes, I'll take the questions and redirect it to you.
Yeah, actually I can see the Q&A.
Yeah. If ever, I'll just do the closing speech and then I'll redirect you to the questions.
Okay, sure. Go on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Baram Singh Bhargavin, Varun for short, Future FinTech Champion, and the second lead for the Virtual Crypto Trading Competition 2021. First of all, thank you, Suyash, for this insightful and informative session on the blockchain, asset class, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs. Dear participants, the aim of this presentation was to help most of you understand how cryptocurrencies work, and this will definitely help you in making your trades on the 23rd of October. Congratulations once again on getting selected. As Lisa said earlier, please don't forget to register for the Africa FinTech Festival 2021, and it is free for everyone. This might help you make connections virtually, and we never know, you might meet your future employer there, or might be some friends across the world. Before we take on the questions, I would like to remind everyone that we have another training sessions on the 18th of October, which is on the science of investing, and don't forget to register. Now proceeding to the Q&A sessions, feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A tab. If you might not have your questions at this particular moment, you might redirect it to your mentors, or you can even drop it in the general chat of the BCTC. Proceeding to the Q&A. So the first question that we have is, what are the ways to create NFTs?
So the ways to create NFTs. Okay, I think that it depends. It depends on what blockchain you're using. So it's important to understand that when we talk about NFTs, we are talking about representation of an asset on a blockchain. So before going into knowing, okay, how you're going to create an NFT, you need to decide on what blockchain you're going to create the NFT. So NFTs can be created in many different blockchains. The most popular one would be Ethereum. That's where probably most of the NFTs trading take place. So how do you create an NFT? It's usually can be quite simple, but it depends on what you want to really do. Creating an NFT could be as simple as going on an existing platform and just minting your own NFT, and you usually have kind of a form or something like that where you can enter your information of the NFT, and you'll need probably to pay the fees to mint the NFT, and it's done. Now that's the easy, let's say, non-technical way of doing of creating NFTs. Now you also have the complex. It's not really complex when you do it more and more, but just to know that when you need to create an NFT, it's just basically a smart contract that you can use and mint on a blockchain. So that's basically how it goes. So these are two extremes. You can have different ways of creating NFTs, but this is probably the easiest one, and creating a smart contract would be probably the most complex one.
Okay, thank you. And the second question that we have is, what would you say are 1 to 3 elements to consider before investing or trading in any cryptocurrency?
I'm probably a bad person to ask for investment and trading. I don't invest. I don't trade in cryptocurrencies. My focus has always been to know how the technology works, and that's also maybe a good indication of whether you should invest or trade in cryptocurrencies. But for me, what I see as like the most important aspects of cryptocurrencies is what is their aim. So what are they trying to do? Is it just kind of a cryptocurrency that has been created just as a pump and dump scheme, or like get rich quick scheme and things like that. It depends. It depends. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to make profits, then that's another set of considerations. For me, the most important consideration for a cryptocurrency is what's the use case, what's the rationale behind creating a cryptocurrency. For example, when we talk about Bitcoin, for me, it's not about making money, it's not about getting rich, it's not about trading or investing. It's about giving a choice to people, a choice of, let's say, monetary sovereignty, where you can actually control your own money. You can control how it's issued, you can control how it's transferred, you can control how it's developed, and you can control, let's say, the whole concept of money, which is not here when we talk about our traditional fiat currency. So for me, the list of, let's say, considerations would be very different from yours. But again, it depends on what you really want to do for that specific use case.
Just to add on to what you've said, I think the second training session will like to enhance your ability on investing in cryptocurrency more. So stay tuned for the second training session. Someone I think had a confusion and they asked you, who issues the cryptocurrencies?
Okay, good question. We talk about that a bit. So basically, who issues cryptocurrencies? If we take the example of Bitcoin, Bitcoin has a limited amount of coins that it can create. So basically, it's 21 million Bitcoin at any point in time. And the last, let's say, Bitcoin is going to be created by the year 2140. So there are rules on how Bitcoin is created. And these rules might be different for other blockchains. And like Bitcoin, which has a hard cap, a hard limit on how many Bitcoin there will be at any point in time. Ethereum, for example, doesn't have any hard limit. So it depends on the type of blockchain, but let's take the example of Bitcoin. So there's going to be 21 million Bitcoin. That's a hard cap, okay? Now, every 4 years, so it started in 2008 when it started, when a new block was created, okay, the network itself was giving 50 Bitcoin for whoever was creating the new block. Okay, that was a lot, like 50 Bitcoin. And every 4 years, the amount of rewards which is given to the creators of the blocks is half. So this is what we call the halving. So every 4 years we have that. So right now, I think it's 6.25 Bitcoin per new block. And who gets to actually get the reward? So is the miners. So the miners actually compete between themselves to try to kind of finish a race. And the first one to finish with the race and proclaim that, okay, I have finished the race. And if everyone accepts that he's the winner, then he gets the Bitcoin, and the network actually issues the Bitcoin automatically to give to that miner. Okay, and it works kind of the same for other blockchains as well, but this is basically how it's created. So it's not like there's a central entity, like someone sitting behind a computer and say, okay, I'm just going to give someone 6 Bitcoin or 50 Bitcoin. It's based on the rules. The rules specify that, okay, right now on the current trend, it's 6.25 Bitcoin. Okay, the reward is 6.25. And who has won the race? Oh, it's you. Okay, you get the 6.25 Bitcoin. And everyone else, since they follow the same set of rules, they accept this as the winner and gets to know who issued the currency actually.
Thank you. Another person asked, what is the scope of cryptocurrency in Mauritius?
Oh, that's a good question, but it has many aspects to it. So when we talk about cryptocurrencies, for example, in our current context, we are talking about trading and investing. But cryptocurrencies is much more than that. As I mentioned earlier, it's a way to get monetary sovereignty. That's number one. It's a way to innovate in the financial field. That's number two. It's a way to facilitate transactions, to facilitate online commerce. That's number three. So there are a lot of things that can happen, but for me, the real scope of cryptocurrencies in Mauritius is about innovation. Basically, think about this. Think about it like this. So you have a technology so disruptive that right now a lot of people in the financial sector and even especially the banks are getting so scared that they want to get in the field, but they don't know how to get in the field, and they don't know how it's going to affect the field. And when we think about banks, they are probably the most powerful and biggest corporates in Mauritius and in the world. And you never hear a bank making losses. They never make losses, irrespective of how the economy is doing. They always make profits, and that gives a lot of like credence to the fact that they are kind of a monopoly. So and when we talk about monopolies, we talk about lack of innovation. So this cryptocurrency is what it allows you to do is bring innovation in this field without any permission. So you don't need to ask permission from anyone. Say, hey, can I get a license to innovate in money? No, you don't need a license now. You can just use cryptocurrency to innovate. So that's basically how I would see the main scope of cryptocurrency to be in Mauritius.
Thank you. Someone asks, can art pieces be related to cryptocurrency?
Yes and no. It depends on what you mean. I mean, cryptocurrencies are one thing. Art pieces, I'm assuming that you're referring to NFTs. So NFTs are not cryptocurrencies. Okay, sorry. NFTs are really tokens that you create. So basically, they are not the same thing as cryptocurrencies. Actually, they have certain common elements, but NFTs represent something which is unique. So if you have a car, if you have a house, if you have art, a picture or anything like that, then this is usually something unique that even if you cannot really duplicate these things. But cryptocurrencies are what we call fungible tokens. So NFTs are non-fungible tokens, but cryptocurrencies are fungible tokens, which means that if you have one Bitcoin and I have one Bitcoin, that's the same value. We cannot differentiate between my Bitcoin and your Bitcoin. That's what we call fungibility of assets. And that also applies to what we have in money. For example, if I give you a 100 rupee note, you can't say that, okay, I don't like this 100 rupee note. Can you give me another 100 rupee note? Okay, because all of them have the same value, they have the same significance. And this is what we call fungibility of assets.
Thank you. Someone else asks, how to tokenize NFTs?
How to tokenize NFTs? So basically, when we talk about NFTs, in itself, it's tokenization. So what you're doing with NFTs is that you're taking an asset, you're tokenizing the asset as an NFT. Now, the process, as I mentioned earlier, can be quite simple or complex depending on how you want to do it. But basically, it means that you have an asset, you create a digital representation of that asset on the blockchain, okay, and which kinds of makes it unique on the blockchain system. And what you need to maintain, if it's a physical asset, is that link between the digital version and the physical version. So basically, NFTs itself means tokenization of assets.
Okay, thank you. Someone asks, what are some examples of custodial and non-custodial wallets?
So a very easy way of understanding that, if you have, let's say, cryptocurrencies in a crypto exchange, okay, you keep it there, and you trade, you buy or sell, that's a custodial wallet, meaning that you don't, of course, you can transfer it out, you can transfer whatever cryptocurrency you have out, but if, for example, tomorrow the crypto exchange just closes down, puts its website down, you practically lose everything on that platform. This is by definition a custodial system, where you don't have control over your digital currencies, over your cryptocurrencies. The opposite would be if you keep your cryptocurrencies in your mobile wallet or your desktop wallet, meaning that whatever happens outside of your own system doesn't matter. You still have your private keys, you still have your backup keys, you still have everything. So as long as you have these elements, you can always have access to your cryptocurrencies or your assets. It also applies to NFTs as well. So this is the main, let's say, the main way to understand what are custodial and non-custodial wallets. Now, you could also argue that there are different shades of custodial and non-custodial wallets. So you can have a lot of in between. For example, in Bitcoin, we have what we call multi-signature wallets, or multi-sig ownership of assets, where there can be different owners of an asset, and so again, it depends on what you really, how you set up your wallet, but it can be very simple, as well as can be very complex also to if you wanted to do that way.
Thank you. Someone asked, what are the procedures to invest in cryptocurrency? So
yeah, I think that's a good question. Maybe the next session would answer that better, but the procedures to invest in cryptocurrencies are, again, can be quite simple or quite complex. For example, it may be as simple as going in a crypto exchange, setting up your account. Sometimes it can be quite difficult in the sense that you'll need to submit your what we call KYC details, know your client. And I know that for the past few months, probably now that now it has changed, the fact that Mauritius was in the financial gray list, actually blacklist, for quite some time, made it very difficult for Mauritians to actually invest or buy cryptocurrencies in these online exchanges. Most of them were practically banning Mauritius from all the transactions. So you are, let's say, at the mercy of these crypto exchanges to allow you to trade and invest.
thank you. Someone wrote, do you think that the government will try to control cryptocurrency? We know that crypto are decentralized, and the Federal Reserve of the USA will maybe create the Fed coin to create inflation with digital coins. So what's your take on that?
That's a very good question. So the first part of the question is particularly interesting. So do you think that government will try to control crypto? Of course, they will try to create cryptocurrency. That's basically their role. They will try to control everything, and cryptocurrencies is a big danger for them. The problem is that can they actually do that? So there are different ways they have been doing this. One of the first ways of controlling cryptocurrency was by controlling the adoption, by saying that okay, if you're using Bitcoin, you are probably a drug dealer. You either consume drugs, or you sell drugs, or you do illegal stuff online. So this is how they were trying to, let's say, discourage adoption. Then it changed in the way that they wanted to regulate cryptocurrencies. Now, the problem is that you can set up laws, you can set up regulations, but if you can't enforce it, that's an issue. Like, how do you enforce that let's say if you want to seize someone's Bitcoin, how do you actually enforce that? You can't do it unless you break the private public key cryptographic system, which is practically impossible to do that. So my point is that they are trying to control cryptocurrencies, but the fact is that they can't do it. And this is the reason why Bitcoin, it has already been 10 years, more than 10 years, is still here. It's not due to a lack of effort from governments, from central banks and things like that to stop it. They have been trying from day one to do that, but they can't actually do it. And this is the real power of a decentralized system. Now, the second part of the question is Federal Reserve of US to create, and we even have, like, Mauritius is also contemplating the idea of creating a national digital currency, and which is what we know as CBDC, so central bank digital currency. So let's say that's the latest attempt to control cryptocurrency. So basically, they're creating their own version of cryptocurrencies, which are not really the same thing as Bitcoin. It's not open, it's not borderless, it's not kind of censorship resistant. So it's basically your money, okay, being digitized, and which has existed already for so many years now. So it's not something new. It's just the latest attempt to try to control this thing that we call blockchain and cryptocurrencies and decentralization.
Thank you. And thank you for your engagement, guys. We'll take a few more questions and we'll redirect the remaining to our speaker and send you the answer after, since we are running a bit out of time. Another question is, what is the difference between cryptocurrency and foreign exchange market? Which is more liquid and which is better to invest in the long term? Thank you.
Again, bad person to answer the question. But I would say that for me, cryptocurrency is more than a tool for investment. But for me, liquidity is maybe one of the main considerations in crypto markets. So this might affect how you invest, the ability to invest quickly and things like that. So that's one of the things. But honestly, a lot of things are happening in the cryptocurrency area. Like, for example, Bitcoin has been developing what we call second layer networks, which allow for instant cryptocurrency payments, instant Bitcoin payments. We all know that, for example, Bitcoin usually takes around 10 minutes to validate a transaction. That's usually the minimum amount of time it takes. But right now they're working on technologies which can make instant Bitcoin transactions and for a fraction of a cost. So what's happening really is that this can have a lot of effect on trading and investment activities in the near future.
Thank you. And thank you, Suyash. Could you just please share your contact information in the meantime, as some participants would like to contact you personally?
Sure. So let me share my screen. So we have all the information in there. A sec. So you can just email me on info@horizonafrica.io, or this is my phone number. This is my my co-founder's phone number. So you can call me directly here, add me on WhatsApp, contact me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Just feel free if you have any questions. One of my aims really has always been to like really help people understand what it's all about. Why is it so disruptive? What can you do with it? And it also has a great impact. It can have a great impact on your career. For me, maybe I'm a bias, but I think that cryptocurrencies and blockchains are going to be a big component of our society in the near future. So it's very important. irrespective of the field you are in, accounting, finance, agriculture, education, irrespective, or even technical, like if you're a programmer, irrespective of the field, it's very important to understand how it works and how it can affect your current field or the field in the future.
Thank you, Suyash. We'll take one last question and the rest will be redirected to you. So
Okay.
the last question is, this is an interestingly detailed explanation of the crypto world and the odds of the world's financial system. The question is, what do you honestly think about the future of cryptocurrencies, given that they have an extremely high volatility? Also, the way some governments around the world are reacting towards it. China, for one, is cut between creating a CBDC and banning the use of cryptocurrencies in their economy. So what's your take on that?
I mean, my take is very simple. My interest in cryptocurrencies does not depend on the price. Right now, I think Bitcoin, if I'm not wrong, is more than 48,000 USD per Bitcoin. 48,000, yeah, 48,000 USD, one Bitcoin. So the price doesn't really matter. If tomorrow the price of Bitcoin crashes down to 100 USD, my interest would still be the same, because it's not really the price or the volatility of the whole crypto market which determines what's going to happen. This is real. This is a new technology out there. This is something that is going to disrupt, that is already disrupting things. This is something that has entered the most let's say, the most regulated field, which is the banking and financial field, and has disrupted that. And they can't really do anything about it. They're trying to control it without any success. They have tried to stop it without any success. Now, think about this for a second. It has entered the most regulated, the most restrictive field in the industry, and no one can actually do anything about it. So the power, the disruption power that this brings on the table is huge. So what you're talking about is disrupting the way the society works, disrupting the way you transact with people, changing the way the society works. And these things, you can actually solve a lot of problems with when you control the way money works. Because when you think about it, money dictates a lot of aspects of your life. You work to get money, you pay your food with money, your transport and everything else. You actually use money a lot. And when you think about it, you don't have any control over the money that you use for your everyday life. So imagine getting the control back. What can you do with that? You can actually solve a lot of other issues related with money, the division between rich and poor. I'm not saying that it's going to solve everything. That's not the aim of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. But what it brings to the table is choice, a choice of actually using your own money, where it's not controlled by anyone specifically. It's controlled by everyone. So attempts like CBDCs from China and Mauritius and things like that, they are probably going to maybe ultimately help in the adoption of cryptocurrencies, but they don't even compare to what the open cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the privacy-centric cryptocurrencies like Monero are doing. It's going to be a long road, but ultimately, I think that it's going to disrupt a lot of things, and we can talk at length about that. Feel free to just reach to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and things like that. We can always talk about that at length.
Thank you so much, Suyash, for this insightful presentation and interesting Q&A session. We'll now end this session here for now. Don't hesitate to contact Mr. Sumaro and use the VCTC general chat to send your questions. Thank you once again, Suyash, Lisa, MAF team, FFC, and of course our dear VCTC participants for attending. We'll be sharing the recorded video soon. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day ahead and a nice week.
Thank you. Bye.